How's everyone doing? Brendan here. So I've been doing these weekly update videos for a little while now, and I want to know what you guys think about them. Do you find them helpful? Is there anything you think I should change? Also, if you're new here, first off, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate the support. And also, the point of this video is just to provide some interesting or relevant news stories from the past week that relates to the overall goal of this channel, which is to help you reach financial independence and give you the option to retire early. And make sure you stick around to the end, because I always try and end with some funny or positive news stories to send us off on a positive note for the week. So let's get into it. So stocks rose this past week, with the S&P 500 actually touching its highs all the way back from March 6th. Small cap and mid cap stocks had the strongest gains, and value outperformed growth stocks, which is great for my investment strategy. If you'd like to learn more about that, you can see the video here. So how did the financial markets actually do? Well, the S&P 500 was up 3.2%, the Dow Jones was up 3.3%, the Russell 2000 was up 7.8%, and the MSCI EAFE was up 3.9%. This is the first time in the past couple of weeks that international stocks have actually been positive. And year to date, the S&P 500 is down 8.5%, the Dow Jones is down 14.3%, the Russell 2000 is down 18.8%, and the MSCI EAFE is down 18.7%. So why were the markets up this week? Well, early in the week, there was a virus vaccine that showed positive results in a very small sample size. So really it was only 8 people, but it showed positive results. Now this can be both exciting and frustrating. It's exciting because obviously we're excited to try and find a vaccine and hopefully get over this whole virus pandemic, but it's frustrating because it could seem like the process is extremely slow. It seems like the scientists should be more urgent in getting these vaccines out to the people. Even if everything goes extremely well for this vaccine, at the earliest it'll be available at the end of the year or early next year. And that's because it has to go through 2 more rounds of testing, one with hundreds of people and one with thousands of people. The reason it takes so long for these vaccines to get out into the public is because things may look good in a small sample size, especially something as small as only 8 people, and then not so good when you put them in a larger sample size. And it's not just how well the vaccine treats the virus, it's also about the side effects. It needs to cause more good than harm when you take into account the side effects. Now for unemployment, an additional 2.4 million people filed jobless claims this past week. Now that's still an extremely high number, but the positive news is that since March 14th, each week, fewer and fewer people have filed claims. A study from the Census Bureau showed that nearly half of adult households have experienced a reduction in income since the pandemic started nearly 8 weeks ago, and that an additional third expects to have a reduction of income in the next 4 weeks. Check out this chart that shows the percentage of households that lost employment income since March 13th based on education level. This shows that no one is immune to the effects of the pandemic. So that was all a lot of negative economic news, right? So why are the markets still rising so aggressively? Since March 23rd, the market's up 27.9%, which is the strongest bear market rally in the last 75 years. It seems like the economics and the stock market are on different pages. While this may seem like a disconnect between the economic numbers and the market performance, it's not abnormal. The markets are forward-looking, whereas the economic data is backward-looking. In February and March, when the stock market fell 34%, the economic data was still showing the healthy pre-market conditions. Now stocks have rallied on the expectation of a reopening economy. In an attempt to support the US economy, the government has passed stimulus plans, but they haven't performed as well as they would have liked. Other governments around the world have simply temporarily paid employees' salaries to prevent unemployment and have seen better results. The US passed a complicated mix of different stimulus policies, but have still seen a sharper rise in unemployment than other countries. But that may change in the recent stimulus plan that was just passed. The stimulus bill that the House passed last week includes a new paycheck subsidy program similar to those in other countries. For businesses that have suffered substantial losses, it will cover as grants, not as loans, up to 80% of employees' salary up to $60,000. In other government news, on Wednesday, the Senate overwhelmingly passed legislation requiring that any foreign companies prove that they're not under control of any foreign governments to be allowed to be listed on US stock exchanges. This could hurt companies like Alibaba and Baidu, who need to prove that the Chinese government does not interfere with their operations. Adding to the negative news for China, Beijing announced that they plan to impose new national security laws on Hong Kong to eliminate pro-democracy protests. This would override Hong Kong's system of self-governance and reflects a growing frustration within Chinese leadership. Now, President Trump said that details aren't really known what Beijing's plan is, but if they plan to proceed, then he will address it very strongly. In the real estate market, a hedge fund manager named Jonathan Litt of Land and Buildings Investment Management is betting against some of New York City's biggest office owners. He took short positions in 3 New York real estate companies. The pandemic has caused numerous tenants to reconsider their office space needs, with some firms saying they intend to lease less space as their staff feel more comfortable working from home. With New York City having the highest rate of infections in the US, some tenants say they are nervous about expanding or renewing leases. Office leasing volume in Manhattan already fell 47% in the first quarter compared to the 10-year quarterly average. So I couldn't find a whole lot of weird or funny news from this past week, but here are some more positive, uplifting stories. So on Wednesday, SpaceX is planning to launch 2 NASA astronauts into orbit. No company has ever flown commercially developed hardware carrying humans and rendezvoused with the International Space Station. Having a reliable American system would mean NASA astronauts no longer need to piggyback on Russian rockets and spacecraft, as they have since the US Space Shuttle fleet was retired 9 years ago. Now for the last thing, if you're wearing glasses, I'm sure you've experienced this, where you put on a mask, breathe out, and then before you know it, your glasses are fogging up. Well, here's a simple hack on how to improve that. If you fold a tissue and line the upper part of your mask with it, it will absorb the fog-inducing moisture from your breath. Give it a try and let me know how it goes. So what did I miss this week? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. Also hit the little bell icon so you don't miss any future videos. Have a great week.